I think it's fair to say that a lot of people dream of living somewhere like Maui. A lot of people fantasize about living somewhere like LAHAINA with, an ocean front view, beautiful clear waters, lush green mountains, just beautiful scenery, like paradise, fresh air, maybe even what some would describe as a more laid-back lifestyle. These are things that people only dream of. Yet the reality is, for the people who actually live there, they have to deal with certain taxes, rules, and regulations that the majority of us don't have to deal with. And they constantly have to live with this dark cloud over their head. This dark cloud that follows them everywhere, regardless if some of them are aware of it or not. Because you see, these people have what the most powerful people in the world want. You may be living in a shack that your great-great-great-grandfather built over 100 years ago. There's a leak in the roof. It's not insulated well. There's creaks in the floorboards. And you may be living a humble life. You may not even think much of it, but somewhere in the world, a powerful billionaire wants to be right where you are. You see, the people in LAHAINA, they're living right where the world's most powerful people want to live. They have something that the world's most powerful people want. And in this day and age, that's really scary. You're living here and it's like paradise, but in the back of your mind that these elites, these rich and powerful billionaires, they've been doing everything they can to grab the land from underneath you. They've offered you insane amounts of money and they feel insulted when you turn it down. They feel as if everything has a price tag. They feel as if they're all powerful, that whatever they want can be theirs, yet you have these humble people in the area turning down these offers. You have these people refusing to leave their native lands, and these billionaires can't stand it. These rich and powerful elites cannot stand it. So living in this area, it may seem nice, but at the same time, like I said, you have this dark cloud overhead. You have to live with this fear of knowing that the world's most powerful people are after your home. They're after your neighbor's home. They're after the playground where you take your kids. They're after the beach where you go surfing. So that's the reality that these people are dealing with. In many ways, they've been in a cold war with the elites for years. This situation did not just start with the Maui fire. It escalated with the Maui fire. If anything, the Maui fire took it to a whole new level. But this didn't just start overnight. This has been going on for years, which is why people are looking at this fire in LAHAINA. They're looking at the decisions that were made and they're questioning everything, because this same plot of land is land that these people have been trying to buy. They've been trying to take control over it for so long. And now they're one step closer. They're closer than they ever have been after this tragedy, this accidental wildfire. I predict that after these fires, we're going to see a lot of people getting the hell out of town. A lot of these people can read the writing on the wall. They're going to look at the response to this fire, and they're going to go back to the mainland. Now, I think it's important for people to stand their ground. I think it's important for the natives in this area to stand their ground and to fight back. Don't give up. But I also think there's a lot of people who I don't want to say don't have any business living there, but there's a lot of people like from the mainland in America who go to Hawaii and they think they're going to live there because they view it as paradise, and it is, like we just talked about, but they don't realize, what comes along with it. And right now, living in this area, you got a huge target painted on your back because, like I was explaining, the world's most powerful people want all of this land. You know what I mean? And when ish hits the fan and you're dealing with crazy situations, you may think that somewhere like Hawaii would be the best place to be, but in reality, it seems like this is a place where the powers that be, they feel like they could easily control this population. You're cut off from the mainland. You know what I'm saying? So you got a smaller population, a smaller number of people that need to be controlled. And that's why I think you're going to see a lot of experimental things happening in Hawaii before they bring those new rules, regulations, or new ways of life, whatever you want to call it, to the mainland. Like, you're going to see them test out smart cities. You're going to see them test out certain things to see how it goes with the population in Hawaii, and then they bring it over here. So I think we're going to see a lot of just Americans who decided to go live in Hawaii. We're going to see a lot of them starting to return home once they realize that, everything's not okay in paradise. And I think we're going to see more fires, more natural disasters. We're going to see things of the likes that we have never seen before, in my opinion. I think Hawaii will be almost like an experimental territory where they try out new policies and see how things work. And we're kind of already in the middle of witnessing that as we speak. But I want to go ahead and show this clip really quick. This clip is from someone who has lived in the area, who is now moving away, and he discusses some of the things that happened there as he lived there and why he no longer feels comfortable living in Maui. After this clip, though, I'll be right back with more thoughts.
I'm leaving Maui. I'm here at the Kahului airport, and you can see there's no one here. Everything's basically been shut down. Tourists are being told not to come by a lot of locals, and the economy is at a standstill again here. And in fact, it's so empty that I'm doing this voiceover right now in the airport before I get on my plane, and there's no one within about 100 feet of me, so it's not even awkward or weird for me to sit here talking to myself. The fact that I'm leaving here means the gloves can come off and I can start saying a lot of the things that I didn't feel safe to say when I was on the island. I'm going to try to upload this before I get on my plane, but I don't know if that's going to work or not. But either way, when I get on the plane, I will post a picture or a video inside of the plane just before takeoff as a story on TikTok to show that I managed to safely get off the island. And I know in the comments of some of the other videos that I've made, people have doubted that that would happen, but it's happening now. I'm getting out of here, which is bittersweet. Overall, it's a happy day for sure, considering how terrible the last month has been. But it was difficult to make this decision. I mean, when it comes to a natural beauty standpoint, this place is great. The weather's great. There's obviously beautiful beaches and mountains. There's no predatory animals. There's no snakes. You can't even get Lyme disease here. There's no tick-borne illness. So it has a lot of things going for it. But when I was here, I just really didn't feel free. I mean, for 18 years, I've done the same job and I've traveled all over the world, and I could really do my job anywhere aside from here. This is the first time in 18 years that I have been stopped from doing my job because we could not leave our home and we did not have internet. Well, we could leave our home. Let me correct that. Let me just correct that. We could leave our home, but we were being told that we could not come back, even though our home was 20 minutes away from a fire. And so if we can't come back, that would leave us with the prospect of being homeless downtown. So effectively, we could leave, but we'd be homeless. So because of that situation, I couldn't get on the internet. We didn't have power, and that went on for quite a while. So I could do my job pretty much anywhere other than this place. And there was a lot of weird stuff that's happened here. The number one reason that I feel like there's no future here, and I really felt like it just was not the place for us anymore, is because when we were getting bossed around and kind of told that we needed to spend all day in the park getting permission slips to come back to our house and all this nonsense, the population here just really seems like they can be controlled by just a handful of people. I mean, there's thousands of people that are all getting told ridiculous things by just a couple of police officers, and I'm the only one asking questions. And I'm not saying that people should be, rising up or anything, but they should be asking some damn questions and documenting and filming everything. And for some reason, the people here are either trusting of the government or fearful of the government in ways that I have never seen anywhere else on the mainland. And there's also many different policies here that don't exist on the mainland. For example, there's a general excise tax, which means everything at every level here gets taxed. Wholesale transactions get taxed. Things that I've never seen get taxed. And I think that's a big reason why in 2021 there was a tipping point where now there are more Native Hawaiians living in the contiguous 48 states than living here in Hawaii, and throughout all the islands combined. And that's, I believe, because you don't have the same opportunities here that you have on the mainland. And a lot of that is because of what I see as a tyrannical government here that controls the people in ways I've just never seen. And the people go along with it. And so that combination, those two things together, just means I don't want to be here. And I don't want to find out what happens during the next disaster, because what I saw during this one...
And this is why I'm so glad that I live in the South. But even living down here, around 2020, during the lockdowns and everything, you could see that a large amount of people are literally just sheep. They will follow any rule, any regulation, and they will get mad at you for not following it as well. I mean, it would be the stupidest things like, oh, you have to wear a mask while you walk to the table, but then you can take the mask off at the table. Or the stupidest thing that happened during the lockdowns where I live was the one-way shopping aisles at the grocery store, which completely did not make sense. Let's say you needed to go to aisle 6 to grab some Kraft macaroni and cheese. The way the grocery stores were set up, you had to start at the beginning and go up and down every single aisle. So before you knew it, even if you needed one item from aisle 6, they made you walk around damn near the entire grocery store, exposing yourself to even more people than you would have if you just walked directly where you needed to go, grabbed your item, and left. There was just all of these things that didn't make sense. And you would watch these sheep, these people just comply, just go along with it. They wouldn't ask any questions. And for the most part, it wasn't like you had law enforcement and the government enforcing these rules. You had the general population doing that job for the government, for the powers that be. You had people policing their own neighbors. I know in other states and other areas they were calling, oh, this neighbor has 6 friends over when he should only have 4. People were snitching on each. It was so terrible. It was so terrible. And like I was saying at the beginning of this video, when you're somewhere like Hawaii, this population is even easier to control. And I'm not trying to make this a political thing, but it looks like in Democratic run areas, you have a lot of people who are no longer questioning authority, which is the exact opposite of how these people used to be. It used to be that you would see Democrats questioning big corporations. They would question, overreach of the government and things like that. But now it's like everyone's just sheep. Everyone's just complying. They get mad at you when you don't. So yeah, I would get the hell out of there. As sad as this situation is down in Maui, you have to understand that the governor and the mayor and all of these officials, they were elected. People chose to put these people in power. And I guarantee you that after this is all over, they're going to still be putting the same idiots in power. A lot of these people don't understand that, the consequences of what they do. And it's very dangerous living in an area where you're surrounded by yes men and yes women who are going to comply with anything, because at the end of the day, when the ish hits the fan and when it's all said and done with, it's not necessarily, the powers that be that you have to worry about. You have to worry about your own neighbors, okay? And, I'm someone who, my great-great-grandfather, my own grandfather, they lived in Germany during World War II. They saw people get sold out by their neighbors. My great-great-great-grandfather was thrown into a concentration camp for helping out Jewish people during World War II. And it was his own neighbors who ratted him out. You know what I'm saying? So this has been going on for a while. When we see this totalitarian, dictatorships take over, which is what we're witnessing right here in America, we're witnessing a takeover. Your freedoms are getting erased. And it's going to be your own neighbors who enforce a lot of this stuff. Your own neighbors are bringing about not only your destruction, but their destruction as well. So you really need to pay attention to your surroundings and who you're surrounded by. I think moving forward, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but sometime in the not so distant future, that's going to be very important, who you're surrounded by. And I think you could make the argument that that's always important, but it's going to be more important now than ever. So that's why you're seeing a lot of people, it's not just Hawaii, California, New York, the crime is getting out of control. The policies there don't make sense. They're letting these criminals out. They're soft on crime. It's just gotten so crazy, and you're seeing people exit these states en masse. You're seeing hundreds of thousands of people leave from these areas. And hopefully they understand what caused their areas to be that way, and they don't go and try to enforce the same stuff wherever they're moving to. But what's happening in Hawaii is the same that's happening everywhere else. You're seeing the failure of these policies, the failure of these elected officials, and half of these people are people who voted these people into power, and they cannot live with the consequences of their own decisions. And for the life of them, a lot of them don't realize that they brought a lot of this stuff onto themselves. So that's very scary. It's very scary to be living in an area like Hawaii right now, because I explained earlier in this video, you got the powers that be that want your land, and then you got your own neighbors, and it's like, hey, they want your land too, but they're complying with whatever they're told. And the people in Maui now, they can't move around. They can't drive around. It's basically become like a 15-minute city. And these smart cities and these 15-minute cities, you have to have passes to drive certain distances. Oh, you need to go 20 miles to work? Okay, where's your pass? And that's what we're witnessing right here. They're taking advantage of this disaster, and they're using it as an excuse to test the waters with these new rules and stuff that they want to implement all across the world. They don't want you to freely move from place to place anymore. And if these people go along with it and they comply, there's no telling if things will go back to 100% normal down in this area ever. Maybe these rules will remain in place because these are rules that they want to implement. The whole 15-minute city stuff, it comes with a lot of new rules and regulations, and one of them is about how you move, about how you travel. So if you want to go certain distances, you have to have excuses. It's like you got to have a hall pass. It's as if everyone's back in kindergarten again, which is basically what I think we're dealing with here. You look around and we see all of these adults. During the lockdowns, we all experienced this. We saw grown adults who have had to pay their own bills, bust their asses, working jobs, whatever. We saw these grown adults be reduced to toddlers once again, who are walking in straight lines with their finger over their mouth, listening to the teacher, following the rules. Rules that don't even make sense. But anyways, let me know your thoughts about all of this down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up, hit that subscribe, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next video.